Never seen this before in my life.
It's crazy.
I saw him up close. He was in the same team with my brother.
Okay.
He's taller than Rudy Gobert, but he can block shot like Rudy, but shoot like KD. He's incredible, man. Like 2045, everybody is gonna look like Victor.
For the first time in quite possibly 20 years, the Orlando Magic have a dynamic duo that they could be excited about. And bear in mind, I said excited about because I know the dynamic duo that they were excited about 2 decades ago ultimately fell short of their expectations, primarily due to Grant Hill's injury problems. So we have a lot to talk about today, a lot of parallels to draw. And before we get to the content, a little bit of a guilty pleasure of mine recently is playing on Prize Picks. I've been making my picks and posting them onto my Instagram story recently. I think it's a fun way to get some action on basketball games, especially if you live in LA. So if you use my promo code microphone, they'll give you a 100% deposit match up to $100. I'll leave a link in the description down below as well. And now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Gentlemen, I'm sure we all have this issue. You decide to go out with some friends, but you want to take your wallet with you. Your jean pocket is either way too freaking small, or there's this gigantic bulge in your pocket from your wallet being too fat. And bear in mind, I don't really keep a lot of cash on me. It's just the classic wallet just makes you susceptible to pickpocketing and also makes you a target for gold digging women. And that's the whole reason I partnered with the Ridge wallet. This bad boy can hold up to 12 cards and does a fantastic job holding on to your cash. It's a very sleek and slim minimalistic wallet that has over 50,000 5-star reviews. They have over 30 different colors, including burnt titanium and carbon fiber, and most importantly, they have RFID blocking technology that protects you from digital pickpocketers. The Ridge team is so confident that you're gonna love this wallet that they'll let you test drive it for 45 days, and if you don't like it, you can send it back and get your money back. On top of this, they have a really awesome key case that I highly recommend. This key case keeps all of your keys organized so you don't have to deal with a really annoying jingle in your pocket as you're walking around or you're running, and it makes your life significantly easier. And currently they're hooking up my subscribers fat. Right now, when you click on the link in the description down below or go to ridge.com/flight, you'll get 40% off of a Ridge wallet. That's a steal in my opinion. Really worth at least trying it for 45 days because this bad boy changed my life. That's ridge.com/flight to get 40% off on your purchase until December 22nd. And thank you, Ridge, for the sponsorship. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Throughout the course of the past 2 decades, I've had the privilege to witness many NBA draft prospects that were considered as the best prospect since LeBron James. I mean, from Anthony Davis to 2012 to Zion Williamson in 2019, and now this year we have another player who not only is being compared to the likes of LeBron James in terms of the way he could alter the trajectory of a team, but you're seeing NBA players comment on this relentlessly. I mean, listen to Giannis Antetokounmpo talk about him.
He's extremely fast for his size, can block shot, can be a threat in the offensive end. He's unbelievable. For him, the key is to just keep getting better, keep staying humble, and stay healthy.
But it's not only Giannis Antetokounmpo talking about Victor Wembanyama's greatness. There's also this.
That type of talent and skill, and it just puts a smile on your face if you play basketball, you know, because the evolution of the game is taking us this far. You know what I'm saying? We got 7'5" dudes who's able to do everything on the court, you know. So he's inspiring to a lot of people out here. I heard a comment, he said, like, this service, if I compare myself to 1 or 2 players, he want to take from everybody. I thought that was such a profound statement and made me a big fan of his. So the league's really in trouble when he comes in. I want to see how it plays out, and everybody's been excited for his arrival to the league. So we'll see what happens.
If that's not enough to convince you that NBA players are truly terrified about this young man entering the league, well, here's some more evidence for you as well.
We're labeling like this unicorn thing. Everybody's been a unicorn over the last few years, but he's more like an alien. No one has ever seen anyone as tall as he is, but as fluid and as graceful he is out on the floor.
And don't get me wrong, like any prospect, I have my own reservations about Victor Wembanyama, although it doesn't really take a genius to tell why he's going to be so freaking good, assuming that he could avoid all injuries. His shooting stroke aside, the way he moves for a 7'3" NBA player, because I don't even know what position he plays. I mean, I'd assume center or power forward, but dude, he's 7'3". The versatility that this big man has is terrifying. And if he could stay healthy, he is going to be a huge problem in the NBA. You heard Giannis say it himself.
To be in the league with this kid, Tom, you have to get ready, because if you're not ready, this kid's gonna be...
Is it problem, huh?
Problem, big.
So how good is Victor Wembanyama? Well, you're seeing teams literally blow it all up just for Victor Wembanyama. I mean, Utah Jazz are just 2 years removed from being the top seed in the Western Conference. And this past offseason, they decided to trade Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell and pretty much take the OKC Thunder rebuild approach, taking on a lot of draft capital, a ton of assets, and developing young players, which shout out to Lauri Markkanen for making the most of that opportunity. And although things aren't really going according to plan for the Utah Jazz, clearly the philosophy at that point was they were going to bottom out, they were going to tank as much as they could so they could be in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. I mean, the OKC Thunder have been prepared for this for the past 3 years, ever since they decided to trade Russell Westbrook and Paul George. And the New Orleans Pelicans are there by default thanks to my Los Angeles Lakers, at least so far. But here's what's interesting about this. Teams are so willing to completely gut out their roster for Victor Wembanyama, as opposed to trying to develop a player in the NBA to become the next Victor Wembanyama. Now, look, I don't think it's necessarily a fair comparison to compare the top prospect in this year's NBA draft, a can't miss prospect that could alter the course of NBA history, assuming he stays healthy, to a player that was drafted in the second round and is still developing. The one thing that I will say about these two players is the one thing that they have the most in common is the fact that their ceilings are limitless. I mean, the sky truly is the limit for both Victor Wembanyama and the player I'm about to mention. You might be thinking, Mike, you talked a lot about the Orlando Magic and you didn't even mention the Orlando Magic yet, and now we are. Bol Bol was the 44th overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft, 43 picks after Zion Williamson. He was originally drafted by the Miami Heat and he was traded to the Denver Nuggets. Now, at that time, the Denver Nuggets did have pieces. They did have players that they were still trying to develop. They were developing Jamal Murray. Nikola Jokic wasn't necessarily the consistent MVP that you see currently in front of you. So they were technically in that phase where they're rebuilding, but also trying to develop players. And it seems like the moment they got Bol Bol, unfortunately for Bol Bol, being the extremely raw prospect that he is, the Denver Nuggets players developed and they were already transitioning to championship contention. That was their goal. Gone were the days where they would actually make an effort to try and develop their young stars. And as a result, you kind of see it reflected in the stat sheet. I mean, Bol Bol was clocking just 6.2 minutes per game in 53 appearances for the Denver Nuggets, and that's throughout 3 seasons. And every time you'd see Bol Bol on the basketball court, it's not that he was bad, it was just meme-worthy moment. You would see Bol Bol trend on Twitter, you'd probably see him blocking a shot that was way out of his range, which we have some of those as well. And although the vision and the dream for Bol Bol was clear, and he was showing flashes of his potential, he wasn't necessarily in a situation where the team that he was on could really try to get the best out of him and bring out that potential, make him that versatile physical freak of nature that he has the potential to be. Fortunately for Bol Bol, he had his big break in the middle of the season last year, where he was traded to the Detroit Pistons in exchange for Rodney McGruder and a 2022 NBA draft pick. Unfortunately for him, 3 days later, the trade was voided because Bol Bol failed his physical. 5 days later, he underwent surgery on his foot and was listed out indefinitely. And a day later, he was traded to the Boston Celtics. At this point, I really thought the Bol Bol memes were done and his career was essentially over, but one team decided to take a chance on him, and that was the Orlando Magic. This was the greatest thing that could have possibly happened to Bol Bol, because he finally is on a team that, with all due respect to the Orlando Magic, had no chance at making the playoffs last year. And things are trending upward this year, but this is still a team that is in search for their #1 option on offense and their franchise cornerstone. You could assume it's Paolo Banchero, considering how they spent a #1 overall pick on him, but at the same time, this is a team team that could actually invest time into Bol Bol, so they could potentially turn Bol Bol into a player that has a similar ceiling to Victor Wembanyama, although is significantly more raw than Victor Wembanyama. Again, you can't really make this comparison. Bol Bol's been in the league for longer, hasn't had as many opportunities, is finally developing his game. Victor seems to have a very polished game already. That's what separates the two. But again, both of these players' ceilings are limitless. And it seems like Bol Bol is trending towards finally harnessing his potential. I'm going to give you some numbers via Damian Burkhart of The Ringer. As of right now, Bol Bol is the only 7'2" player or taller ever to boast a 60-41-80 shooting split over at least 500 regular season minutes. He currently has a 66.2 true shooting percentage, which is good enough to be in the top 30 in the NBA. And he's the only player this season that is averaging double-digit points and at least 2 blocks and as few as 26.5 minutes per game. He's also adding 8 rebounds to that number. And after his last game against the Brooklyn Nets, the flashes are becoming more apparent. From pull-up three-pointers to the fact that he was able to drop 24 points off of 10 of 15 shooting, you have to bear in mind that Bol Bol's highest scoring game up until this point in his first 3 seasons was 11. I mean, if you just want to see one picture that'll terrify you, just look at this. That's definitely going on my thumbnail. Holy crap. I mean, just the eye test in of itself is enough for you to be able to see why he has the potential to be so freaking good. But considering how tall he is, Bol Bol could cover the entire length of a court within seconds. He is a complete matchup nightmare, especially in regards to getting offensive rebounds, and he currently brings in 1.59 points per possession whenever he cuts to the basket, cutting even more efficiently than players like Evan Mobley, Zion Williamson, and Nikola Jokic. He has a higher effective field goal percentage than players like De'Aaron Fox and Kyle Lowry, and while you might think he would dominate mainly in the key, Bol Bol finds the most success around the perimeter. I mean, if there's one thing that you should pay attention to in all of these clips that we're showing you is Bol Bol's silky smooth jumper, which not only has a lightning quick release, but he's Bol Bol. He has the ability to see over most players that are defending him. Now, you would typically think Bol Bol would thrive in setting screens and giving screen assists, and while he is contributing 1.59 points per possession via cuts to the basket, he also has the ability to be the pick and roll ball handler, and considering how he's 7'2", that is absolutely terrifying. He's in the top 15 isolation players in the NBA, and in transition, generating 1.4 points per possession. And here's what his teammates have to say about him.
Just a freak. I don't know. It's hard to really describe Bol. Like, he is 7'3", moves like a guard, he can shoot threes, he's light on his feet. Like, it's hard. Nobody's ever seen anybody play like this. So it's once he finds his niche and what he's good at and what's his groove that he finds and he's going to be good with it, he'll turn out to be a good player.
Now look, am I calling Bol Bol the next coming of Victor Wembanyama? Not necessarily. I'm just trying to make sure you guys are aware that Bol Bol is finally trending upward in his development. And to be honest, as a basketball fan, it's really nice to see. Hopefully he gets to a point where he is consistently starting for the Orlando Magic. And if he becomes a starter in this league, those Bol Bol Victor Wembanyama matchups are going to be very interesting to watch in the future. Hell, the Bol Bol and Chet Holmgren matchups are going to be very interesting to watch in the future. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this, man. Are you buying into the Bol Bol hype? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.